OWC instructional series of videos. In this installment, we will be upgrading the optical drive in a 17-inch MacBook Pro. Please note that these instructions are for the MacBook Pros released prior to February 2009, not the unibody MacBook Pros. We have shut down the computer, placed it on a soft, static-free work surface, and have gathered our materials. We are now ready to begin the upgrade. The first step is to close the lid and flip the MacBook Pro over. Remove the battery by first sliding the two latches away from you, then lifting the battery out. There are 4 screws holding the memory cover in place which will need to be removed. Once the screws have been removed, the cover itself will slide right out. Remove the top memory module by pushing outward on the clips holding it in, then sliding it out when it pops up. Repeat the process for the lower module. Remove the 2 Torx screws next to the memory slots. Next, remove the 3 screws along the inside front edge of the battery compartment. Remove the 4 screws along the bottom rear edge of the MacBook Pro. Next, remove the 4 screws along the left edge. Then, remove the 4 screws on the right edge. The last 2 screws to remove are these 2 along the hinge edge. Open the MacBook Pro and tilt the screen back slightly. Lift gently up on the rear corners of the top case to lift it free. You may need to use your nylon pry tool to loosen around the front edges, but in most cases you should be able to lift the front part up and out. Don't lift the front out too far, as you will need to disconnect the keyboard cable. It may be taped down, though in this instance it isn't. Gently pry the connector up using your nylon tool, then set the top case aside. There are 3 screws that you will need to remove in order to extract the optical drive. One on the rear, one on the outside edge, and one hidden under a cable. The rear screw is a different size than the other 2 and should be kept separate. Use your nylon tool to pry up the data connector. Then, slide the drive out of the case. Remove the data cable from the drive, then remove the 2 screws holding the rear bracket on. Next, detach the bracket on the narrow edge of the drive by removing the single screw holding it in. Remove the last bracket the same way. Attach the mounting brackets you removed from the old drive to the new one. Then, reattach the data cable. Slide the drive into place, making sure that the data ribbon cable and all mounting brackets go underneath the other cables inside the case. Reattach all the mounting screws to secure the drive into place. Make sure any cables you may have moved are now lying flat, and reattach the ribbon cable connector. Reattach the keyboard cable to the logic board, then reseat the top cover into place. Make sure that the tabs along the edge of the top cover go inside the case. Replace the 2 screws on the hinge edge. Next, replace the 4 screws on the left side. Now, replace the 4 screws on the right. Make sure you don't accidentally insert the screws into the DVI connector, as you'll be unable to remove them without damaging the port. Next, replace the 3 screws along the inside front edge of the battery compartment. The 4 long screws can then be replaced along the rear edge of the bottom cover. Finally, you can replace the 2 Torx screws next to the memory slot. Now we can replace the memory. Install the lower module first by sliding it into the lower slot at an angle until it stops, then push it down to seat it into place. Repeat the process for the top module. Replace the memory cover and the 4 screws that hold it in. You may now put the battery back in, flip the MacBook Pro over, open it up, and restart.